managing your own portfolio can be challenging, right? So, and let alone if you want to create your own perfect portfolio or optimal portfolio. So these are the challenges that we always face. We always face daily on a daily basis. But what if I tell you actually there is a way you can create your own portfolio? So today I'm presenting to you two portfolios that are actually almost perfect portfolios for income investor like yourself. So I'm going to show you this portfolio. One actually I created myself and back tested it. Another one is actually is a portfolio that has been presented by the ETF manager from Hamilton. So I'm going to show you this portfolio. Stick around. By the end of this video, you're gonna know which one of this portfolio you're gonna pick with a huge yield and a good return. So if it's your first time, just make sure you subscribe on my channel. And if you like the content, just make sure you like, give a thumb up. So portfolio one here will be HDIV and HYLD together, combine them together. And this is actually was tested and back tested with Hamilton managers who manages these funds. So the reason being, there's a 4 reason why you'd consider HDIV and HYLD, right? First of all, we look at the performance here. 50-50 portfolio of HDIV and HYLD held up well in tough years. We can see, so tough years of being these tough years, a lot of volatility. We can see the chart here. So if you had 50-50, since HYLD was launched, a 50-50 portfolio of HDIV and HYLD generated a return very similar to 50-50 portfolio of S&P 500 and S&P TSX 60. So if you had S&P TSX VSP and XIU iShares TSX 60, if you had those two together, you'd have the same or similar performance as those two covered call. So you remember, you are investing for generating income here. So this is it's a 50-50. The reason why, of course, if you had those two, they will reduce your volatility and you would have the same similar portfolio in return as S&P 500 US and S&P TSX 60 Canadian. Second reason would be a reduction of all management fee, because those two funds right now, they've grown so fast, bigger. So right now, because they're so big, Hamilton was able to reduce the fees because they can reduce the fee as those fund gets bigger. Second will be sustainability of distribution. Nothing is guaranteed, but diversification is a friend. So once you have the two of them, one yields about 1390 right at this moment, and the other one yield about 90. So if you combine together, you'd have the yield of over 12%. We can do here a simple calculation. If we do calculation right here, we can do 13.9 plus 9.9 equal to 23 divided by 2. You'd yield right now, you'd have almost 12% yield, right? If you have those two. So this diversification is a key, just in case if one cuts dividend or reduces dividend, you would have another one. And of course, you have two funds rather than one. Cost of finance increase still large, offset long-term options drag in rising market. So cost of financing increases. So this is the notes for of course, as the interest rate increases, usually you'd have those funds, because they do have a leverage. Of course, they have 25 basis point cut from your dividend and your film return. But by having those two, now you're reducing your overall cost. Instead of 1%, you're only gonna have 25 basis point reduction of as interest rate increases. So those are one of the main point you'd consider 50-50 split, and also aiming for similar return correlation to the Canadian and US benchmark indices. So also when you have those two, you're gonna have the same pretty much benchmark as you've seen on a graph right here. Between the correlation of S&P 500 and S&P TSX 60. TSX 60 is being a Canadian market, or top 60 biggest Canadian market. We look at the HYLD versus S&P 500 since inception. S&P has outperformed a little bit HYLD, and the reason they say is because of the leverage they use, 25%, and of course the interest rate increases. So of course, because there's a leverage, they're gonna have to pay more in interest, and also there's exchange rate, and that also is a drag of your HYLD. But by combining those together, you're going to see the performance. Look at that. Do you see the performance, how this gray has outperformed the red, which is HYLD? But when you combine them together, look at how closer they are. Do you see that? So that's one of the reasons you'd consider. That's one of the portfolio, 50-50 HDIV and 50 HYLD. So now let's go to the next one. So before you go to this next one, you have to understand this next one is one of the, if you want to go to the next level, instead of just having HYLD and HDIV, and you want to go more little complex and more, not complex, but more a higher level, this is a portfolio that I actually created and back tested it, and you will see the yield, and is one of the best portfolio I think for income investor you can have. So if you really like the spreadsheet that I created, you can also go to my channel page, and there's an email there. You can send me an email and I send it to you the template, and you can adjust the positions and portfolio as you wish, or leave a comment below. And this is your first time, again, I remind you, just make sure you hit the subscription button, subscribe to the channel, because I always bring the news and update on all these funds and anything related to your passive income. So let's go. So this is right here. This is the portfolio that I was telling you. So if you want to go more advanced, and this is it's a really great portfolio to have, and is more diversified. And we have here, it's called passive income equally weighted covered call ETF portfolio. So I did equal weight, and I did 10 ETF, because this is simplicity to make it 10 ETFs. So 100% divided by 10, of course, is 10 divided by 10 is 10%. So that makes math easier. And these are the funds here. We have description, we have a fund provider, we have price, shares, distribution, annual dividend, yield, we have principal, how much money you have invested, and you have monthly income. We're gonna annual income, and we're going to do a little bit of description of each one of them. So if we look at these funds right here, this is the cover call ETF that you're going to invest. This one right here, this is your yield right here, and then this would be your principal you'd have, and this will be your monthly income, and this will be your annual income. And again, this number can be changed. So if we start with we can start with a Hamilton. This is HYLD. By the way, all these funds here I've made individually videos on those ones. You can go on my video on my channel, and then you can see all these HYLD, HMAX, DFN. So Hamilton Enhanced US Covered Call ETF. This is provided by Hamilton, and we put HMAX. HMAX is a bank ETF, high yield, and the reason I put this one because it has yield good banks in it. And when we have to, HYLD does not include bigger banks in Canada, is more of a US. We have a DFN has only 15 stocks, which is the most Canadian. And when you come to Kanoa Income Fund, which is provided or is managed by Kanoa Financial, this one is more of a US companies, including some banks and very few global stocks. When you come to HDIV, Harvest Diversified Monthly Income, it's more Canadian. When you come to BMAX, is it's managed by Brampton. It's more of Canada and also global. When you come to BMO Global High Dividend Income, it's Canadian. It does also have banks. Gold, I put gold because it's different asset, and also managed by Horizon, who also manages the Hamilton ETF. So these are pretty good. These guys, they are very good in managing the covered call ETFs. They have a lot of experience in it. And they've been paying dividend for a long time. All these funds I chose, and the reason why I chose all these funds, some of these they pay really good dividends, and they've been paying for a long time. Some of these, like Kanoa, I think is one of the first, has been around since 1997, and it's been paying dividends since with no cut. Dividend 15 splits, I've made a video, you can check. Also been paying dividends since 2003, but there are a few cuts in between. When it comes to gold ETF from Horizon, they actually haven't cut dividends, but they've reduced their dividends, so it's not 100% consistent. And that's why we have all these, because just in case one has reduced dividend, you can always count on other ones to kind of cover for your cut. So we combine together. You can see the one has highest is DFN has 15%. So combine all yield would have about 10.62%. That's a pretty good yield. And we look at the principal that's invested $10,000, you'd have about 885 or 900 a month, and annual we would have about 10,620. So it depends on how much you add on your principal. You can always increase this one. And if you're an investor who is going to take the money and reinvest, of course, every month this will be increasing, and also your annual income will be increasing. When we look at all these covered call ETF, they are investing in their global countries, globally, not only Canada, but they are more global. And when it comes to sector that they invest in, they do have 11 sector. So not only one sector, but 11 of them. This is all pretty much all sectors. Of course, there's no much because we have HMAX here. HYLD, it's S&P 500. So we know S&P 500 has a lot of tech companies in it. So that's one of the thing, and that's why I put 11 sectors. When it comes to distribution, all of them, they do pay monthly distribution. And so that's it. That's the portfolio you have. Just in case if you want this portfolio again, you can leave a comment below, and then I can send you. And then you can always change principal, and you can also change, maybe instead of 5 you can put 2 funds. But these are the funds that I thought they'd be really great for you to have as in a portfolio, rather than having 20 different individual covered call ETF. So there you have it. If you're really interested, just make sure you like the video and subscribe. Thank you. Till we meet again.